Called it!
本当だ。
瓜二つです。
Oh, he forgot. He doesn't remember.
平和な時代が訪れるといい
He's
な。
actually senile. And I think that just hit Frieren. It's like, holy shit. He actually forgets.
魔王はもう
I think so many times in life, at least I do, we get so caught up in being right. We get so caught up in facts and truth. And of course, facts and truth are very, very important. But in this case, what's more important than correcting someone's wrong and being right is holding space and sharing our beautiful presence with that person. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a psychotherapist and educator. I really like the title of today's episode, Long-Lived Friends, which I think foreshadows a quiet gut punch. There are many layers and different ways to interpret the title alone, so I'm really excited to dive into and do as many symbolic interpretations into today's episode 16 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. And this episode is sponsored by Assassination Zero and Tirtanas, our new sponsor tier. Shout out to the best patron family, and let's tune in. Who's that?
おい、ザイ
Oh, Zion when he was younger.
あの魔法使いが俺たちの写真撮ってくれるってよ。
写真なんだよそれ。
What's a photo? Oh.
いいから来いって。
Oh, that's a great friend. The kind gorilla friend who's nameless. Alright, I'm going to kickstart this episode 16 with some predictions since the get-go. With 16 episodes in, I've grasped the tempo and the setup of each episode. As I've said before, each episode usually starts with a flashback. And that flashback is usually foreshadowing of an integral story plot that's to come. So the fact that this title is called Long-Lived Friends, and we're seeing a flashback, the memory of Zion and this kind gorilla friend, again, he's nameless, so I don't know what else to call him. I think the long-lived friends will encompass some sort of a struggle, some sort of a reconciliation of Zion's, maybe his feelings, his memories, his emotions toward this friend. And I hope the friend is not dead, because that'll be detrimental and really sad. But again, long-lived friends. Lived is in the past tense. So I think the title could also suggest that maybe Zion's friends, the sole reason why Zion agreed to join Frieren's party in search of him, just like Frieren started this 10-year journey to the end in searching of this heaven to finally reconnect with him of the hero. So something tells me that the friend is dead or something happened to him, and that's why it's also called Long-Lived Friends. But of course, the way the show is set up, it's not just about between two characters. I'm sure Frieren is also probably gonna revisit her friends, I'm guessing, and some sort of friendship dialogue and some sort of a scenes and story plot about Frieren's friendship as well, in addition to Zion's friendship with this kind gorilla friends. So those are some of my predictions. So we'll see if I'm completely off or if the title gave it away of what's to come. We shall see. Oh, Zion still has a picture in his locket of him and his friends. So before the intro scene, I'm pretty sure this episode is about Zion, and we see that Zion is looking at the locket with picture of him and his kind gorilla friends, and that's nostalgia. That's what it's highlighting. The nostalgia of the past and memorialization and remembrance of something that's precious to Zion. And of course, like I said, Zion's sole mission is to in search of his friends. So we'll see if he finds the friends in this episode, or rather, if he finds out what happens to his friend. Because again, with my prediction, it's called long-lived past tense friends. So that bonfire was a beautiful scene and a setup. And even the music and the bonfire crackling, to me, felt very somber. So I wonder if Zion deep inside knows that maybe the hope and the possibility of him finding his friend is slim to none, or rather, it's just a very innocent scene of Zion sort of indulging in his nostalgia and remembering back of some of the precious and treasured memories between him and his friends. So there are many ways to interpret the bonfire scene, but I'm gonna ride my prediction wave, and we shall see.
本当に強い戦士なのか
400年近く村を守ってきたドワーフ
400 years!
ドワーフの
Damn!
寿命
There we go.
死ぬ前に
Another
ゆっくり
plot
話
story.
がしたくてね
シャレになってねえぞそれ
Very
なか
true.
なかいませんからね10年くらい滞在しちゃうかしら1週間までですよ
Quick pause. So it's very interesting. Frieren said that she is visiting her old-time friend, Old Man Vol. And I wonder what Vol means. So I'm sure someone will point that out in the comments. Average lifespan for dwarves are about 300 years. That's what Zain said, and many viewers have pointed that out in the series so far. Yet, he's protected his village for nearly 400 years. That's 100 years in addition to the average lifespan. So we already know that this old man Vol, who Frieren is visiting as one of her old-time and long-time friends, is already defied the average lifespan of dwarves. And of course, I'm not a psychotherapist for dwarves or elves. I'm just a human psychotherapist, right? But applying my realism, perspective, and clinical knowledge, I can already speculate that something's gonna go wrong. I'm sure, hopefully, Old Man Vol is alive, so we don't deal with two tragedies in the episode. But rather, I surmise that there might be some sort of a cognitive decline or some sort of a cognitive detriment because the Old Man Vol has, yes, defied the average lifespan by protecting the village for 400 years. At the same time, neurologically, all species, as we age and get older towards the last stages of our expectancies and life, we inevitably suffer from either physical deteriorations or, in this case, cognitive deterioration, and more often than not, both. So I wonder what this episode entails, because I can't quite gauge anything besides the fact that she's gonna visit her friends. And Fern is exactly right. There's not that many remaining members of who interacted with Frieren in the past. And I think Old Man Vol, besides Aizen the Warrior, is the only remaining symbol and person, I know he's a dwarf, but person that sort of remembers and who Frieren can reconnect with regarding the past. And can we just also take a moment of silence, although I'm talking, of really spotlighting and zooming in on Frieren's compassion, her seemingly endless capacity to be so considerate and caring about all of her friends, whether long-lived friends or recent friends like the current adventure party of hers. She's really taken all of her efforts, despite her initial emotional lack of understanding and disconnections, to try to revisit him before he passes away. And Stark is like, that's not funny. But Frieren wasn't joking. She meant every word of what she said. She wants to remember Old Man Vol and spend some time with him. She jokingly said maybe a decade, and of course Fern freaked out like, no, a week at most. Because we know time is very different for Frieren and everyone else. And of course Frieren is too considerate to make a selfish decision to actually spend a decade. That would be nuts. Because this whole journey to revisit the end is merely 10 years. So I'm very curious to see how this episode unfolds.
あの村か
Oh, nice tree. Old Man Vol, that must be him.
主
He is hella old. Do they shrink as they get older?
歴戦の老戦士って感じでかっこいいです
かっこいい。
老戦士ってレベルか
He's a living fossil.
はて誰だったかな
ヨボヨボじゃねえか
Oh.
フリーレンだよ
そうだったな
Oh, okay, he remembers. But his memories
ま
in and
だボ
out.
ケたふり続けているの
戦闘での死因の多くは油断だ
He's
家
teaching
族にも人にもこれが一番効く
deep. What a wise old
勝て
sage
ん
of
だろ
warrior.
う 熟練した戦士でも防御を意識できなければ、わしが剣を抜いていたら足を失っていたぞ。
相変わらず卑怯な戦法だね。
What's the underhand?
ゆっくりしていってくれ。
待ってフリーレン。歩けない。
シュタルク、ついでに稽古つけてもらいな。
He must hit him hard.
とんでもないじいさんだ。
This is very interesting. So we know that Old Man Warrior was a very powerful warrior, and possibly still, from the fact that he protected this village against demon attacks for 400 years, even before the fall of Demon King. That's extremely impressive. But Frieren said something very interesting. She said that after he asked, "Who are you?" she said, "Are you still playing senile?" I guess that's a pattern of his where he would lean into his old age and act senile as friends, as jokes. But again, part of me is thinking that maybe he didn't pretend this time. I think his memory is actually fading, and I think he is indeed suffering from cognitive deterioration, like I speculated in the beginning of this episode. And then we see this very interesting scene of Old Man Vol hitting with his sword still in the cover to Stark, because he noticed immediately that only Stark among this adventure party is a warrior and everyone else is non-warrior. So that's why he went after Stark's leg. And yes, I feel a little bit iffy about that scene because yes, in parts, Old Man Vol is discerning and sharing very helpful combat intelligence and wisdom from his 400 years of battle to Stark. So that thing is priceless. And maybe this seed planting and this lesson right here from Old Man Vol maybe potentially save Stark his life one day by learning to not be careless at all times. We call that situational awareness. That's one of the first things that the military teaches us for soldiers, being aware of our situation, our environment, because you don't know where the sneak attack is going to come. Just like a callback to the venomous snake bite in the episode where they first met Zion. But the other side of me is like, that's kind of rude. I know Frieren used the word underhanded, which is a callback to her conversation with Flame, the legendary mage. She said that to defeat demons who is underhanded, we have to be even more underhanded. So that's a great callback for this show. But the other side is like, yeah, it is kind of rude. Like, yes, he remembered Frieren, but everyone else is strangers, and you're gonna attack a stranger's leg just to teach him a lesson? Is that what old people do? Just trying to share unsolicited feedback and unsolicited wisdom? So I don't know if that was a comical setup or foreshadowing of something else to come, but it's an interesting beginning to the episode so far. What do you guys think? Did you guys think that was kind of rude for Old Man Vol? Or did he really mean well of trying to teach Stark a lesson? But again, he doesn't even know who Stark is.
10年泊まりたいから仕事紹介して。フリーレン様、1週間までですよ。
That's Frieren's second attempt. Just to be shut down by Fern for the second time. Wow. Mages would be amazing farmers, huh?
小さな村でね。
Magic is OP.
しかし、フォルじいさんに友人がいたとはな。
Everyone else
あ
is
んなに
dead.
楽しそうに話しているのは初めて見たよ。
Aww. Right there. My hypothesis and theory has been confirmed that Old Man Vol is in fact senile. So he wasn't playing pretend as what Frieren initially thought based on his patterns of the past. But I'm sure it's been many, 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 many years since Frieren seen or hung out with Old Man Vol. So Frieren's knowledge of who Old Man Vol is outdated. Whereas the villagers who was sharing this information to Zion and Fern, it's more updated and new knowledge. So we know that Old Man Vol is indeed senile, which is cognitive deterioration. So I wonder if this episode is going to go into, here's my another prediction, going into maybe some sort of a sad, sorrowful scenes about Old Man Vol, maybe even forgetting who he is, forgetting why he protected the village. Because as the villager just said, He struggles to even hold conversations, normally speaking. And he's protected this village for many, many, many years. To be exact, nearly 400 years. But the villagers don't know that because they don't live that long. And I guess he never actually disclosed his reasons for being so protective and being the protective deity, as the villager denoted, of this village. So I wonder if there's going to be like a sad scene that's coming regarding Old Man Vol's memory fading and his, I guess, dementia, using clinical terms and human knowledge, since I don't know if dwarves actually suffer from that. And I too wonder, what is the reason for Old Man Vol to actually being so committed to protecting this particular village? There's many different villages, and I'm sure we will glimpse into that truth and the backstory between the conversations of Frieren and Old Man Vol. And the last thing I'll say to close out is Fern said that Old Man Vol has been alone this whole time. Who else has also spent nearly 500 years in the forest by herself before Himmel the hero and the hero's party found her? Frieren. So we're seeing this connections and time spent between two solitude beings who they grapple with aloneness and loneliness because so many other of their peers die, and because they outlive, because they're long-lived creatures, pun intended. So I'm sure that brings endless and unspeakable amount of joy and happiness for Old Man Vol to finally being able to converse and revisit some of his memories based on how much of his memories are still intact based on the cognitive deterioration with Frieren, someone of the past that also remembers his past. And he is also someone that's from Frieren's past that remembers her past as well. Beautiful. Damn, here comes the training. Damn. So Old Man Vol is still pretty OP, huh? Oh, Frieren smiling. I've never seen her smile like that. Wow.
そこそこ良くなった
Wow. Another prodigy.
今ではとても感謝しているんだよ。フォルジーは
What?
人はどうでもいいことに命をかけない。
Deep bars.
妻の愛した村を
Oh.
守っているだけだ
He's still grieving.
どうせあの人の顔も声も眼差しも
His
伝わらん
memories faded even since back then.
わしだけの思い出だ滑稽な話だろ
No.
うわしはずっと
でもきっとその人はあなたが約束を守ってくれていることを
What a great,
嬉しく思
mature,
っているはずだ。
emotional response. Amazing.
お前はいい勇者だきっと魔王を打ち倒すだろう
Whoa, prediction. Wow.
私が未来に連れて行ってや
Some
る
crazy prediction and
ありがたい
foreshadowing.
話だけれども僕のパーティーにはフリーレンも
Aww.
俺は得るほど長生きせんぞ。
連れて行ってくれ
Take
る
goosebumps. What?
そうだろ
別にいいけど。
そうか仲間に恵まれたな
Wow, yes.
やっぱり覚えるのやめようか。
That's an amazing flashback. So now we know that, and yes, I know. Usually the questions I ask are answered shortly before with this setup, but still, I wanted to ask out loud because I'm thinking out loud. But now we know that Old Man Vol is choosing to spend nearly 400 years to protect this village, despite his human wife passing away a long time ago. And Frieren ended up meeting Old Man Vol with her previous hero's party, and she was also tasked with this mission of carrying the memories before her with her because she's the longest living species. And that's so wholesome because we know that Frieren has perfectly impeccable memory. She remembers almost everything to our knowledge. So I don't even know how her neurological capacity handles freaking thousands of years of memories. Can you imagine? That's nuts. But secondly, Himmel the hero says something that mirrors something that Frieren said in the past in conversing with Kraft the monk. I don't need goddess to praise me because I have Heiter the bishop and Himmel the hero who already praises me, who already acknowledges me. And Kraft the monk also said, wow, you have great companions, you have great friends. It's the exact parallel with what Old Man Val told Frieren. You have great companions. So that's a lovely mirroring just right there. But also it's interesting because I didn't know that dwarves are able to marry humans. And here my question is, since I don't know the exact backstory for Frieren beyond what I'm seeing for the first time in this show, are elves, or is elf the only species that is incapable of having a romantic relationship based on what she shared in this show so far? Now, I guess dwarves are allowed and they have the capacity for romance. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about dwarves, I guess, amazing capacity, or not dwarves, for Old Man Val, his amazing capacity to uphold his promise that he made 400 years ago with his now dead human wife? Because he loves his village because she once loved this village. And it's not idiotic or stupid or silly as Old Man Val said. I think that's amazing and so beautiful. Speaking of the transcendence of love. This love is the most powerful emotion and capacity humans are born with. And of course, other mammals, because humans are the mammals with the biggest brain in terms of proportion. So other mammals are also capable of love. We know that, right? But at least for humans, I think our love is more encompassing, more multifaceted, more complex, because we have this neocortex and we have this ability for higher thinking, right? But I do think that's such an awesome flashback. And I think why I know that Frieren was thanking Old Man Val right before the pause of, I'm very grateful for you. Because it's because of you, I got to know Himmel the hero and the hero's party more. And also seeing Old Man Val, I'm sure triggers and activates some of the memories for Frieren. And last thing I'll say with some neurological knowledge bombing, is memories are actually not stored. That's a huge misconception. That's not the case. There is no storage in our brain that stores memories. We're not CPU, we're not computers. But rather, memories are reconstructed based on stimuli like smell, taste, sight, in this case people, like Old Man Val. Our memories are recalled and reconstructed based on our impression of the past through synapses. Our brains are firing with neurons, and through each synapses, we are reconstructing memory. That's why memory fades. And sometimes our memory recall is flawed, which is the reason why witness testimony for a lot of law enforcement officers in the court is no longer the primary way of identifying criminals or other people, because our memories are deeply flawed, unless you have a perfect memory or photographic memory like Frieren, I guess. So it's a very wholesome scene, and I'm curious to see what else happens in the episode.
でもやっぱりイケメンポーズ集はいらなかったかな。
But she capped it.
記憶の無駄遣いだ。
その勇者の顔は覚えているか？
Of course.
当たり前でしょ。
声は？
私をバカにしないでよ。全部覚えている。
Impeccable memory
ヒンメ
recall.
ルは私が人間を知ろうとしたきっかけだよ。
Yes.
フォルジーが村を守ろうと思ったきっかけと同じで大切なことだ。
But he doesn't remember his wife's
そう
face.
か。きっかけか。わしはもう思い出せない。
Damn.
顔も声も眼差しも。それでもわしはこの村を守っている。
フォルジーは冗談がうまいね。
Frieren doesn't believe him. He's real. It's actually
と
dementia.
ころで、
魂の眠る地、 オレオールを目指しているよ。
ついに魔王を倒しに行くのか。
Oh, he forgot. He doesn't remember.
平和な時代が訪れるとい
He's
いな。
actually senile. And I think that just hit Frieren. It's like, holy shit. He actually forgets.
魔王はもう
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
どうした？
出て行ってあげるからね。
Beautiful response.
それも悪くはないな。人生の最後にお前に会えてよかった。
Aww. That's exactly
80
the
年前
intention
も同
for
じこと言っていた
Frieren.
よ。
80 years ago. So now we know that Old Man Vol only remembers the last snapshots and the last impression of Frieren, which was 80 years ago when Frieren and the Himos party, yeah, I guess it's Himos party, and also Heroes party, and we saw that Frieren paused as I predicted. And the gravity and the weight of Old Man Vol's cognitive deterioration and memory loss and dementia finally sank in for Frieren. But here's what Frieren did beautifully. Frieren didn't care about being right or wrong. She didn't care about correcting Old Man Vol for the sake of, air quote, being right. I think so many times in life, at least I do, we get so caught up in being right. We get so caught up in facts and truth. And of course, facts and truth are very, very important. But in this case, what's more important than correcting someone's wrong and being right is holding space and sharing our beautiful presence with that person. She knew that correcting Old Man Vol would be meaningless because he has memory loss. And he even forgot the fact that Demon King has already indeed been defeated by the greatest hero, Himo the hero, and the Heroes party, just as Old Man Vol wished and hoped for 80 years ago. So instead of correcting him, Frieren just sat there silently and smiled and said one of the most beautiful things she's ever said in the series so far. Then I will also carry your memory with me to the future. That's amazing, and that's also parallels and mirrors what Old Man Vol offered to Himo the hero 80 years ago with the flashback. This is why I know every flashback and every dialogue mentioned in the flashback is very instrumental and integral to the plot and the storyline developments. Because without that flashback, we wouldn't see the parallelism between what now Frieren is tasked herself with also carrying the memory of Old Man Vol. So that's very, very beautiful. And the last thing I would say is the starry sky. That Frieren and Old Man Vol were sitting on the hill somewhere under the stars, just having quality time spent together. Sometimes words are unnecessary. Sometimes presence and just being there with their loved ones, that's the most important thing we can do, especially dealing with family members and older individuals who are senile and suffering from dementia or like Alzheimer's disease. They may not remember who we are, but sometimes it doesn't matter because presence speaks volume, which is exactly what Frieren is demonstrating beautifully here. Amazing, amazing.
じゃあね、オルジー。
It's been a week.
元気で。
フリーレン。妻の夢を見た。
そう。
After not remembering her,
お前と昔話をしたおかげ
see,
かもしれんな。
activated his memory reconstruction, like I
それ
said.
じゃ。
Another quick pause. So Frieren not only achieved her goal of visiting Old Man Vol before he dies, she also helped Old Man Vol, who God knows how long that he's forgotten the face, the voice, and anything about the wife besides a vague figure based on his memory callback. She is now gifting the joy and gifting blessings to the people from her past. Just as Himo the hero gifted the blessing of getting to know humans and the human condition and human relationships to Frieren, Frieren as the apprentice to Himo the hero, apprentice of life, is gifted the same gift to Old Man Vol. Just like Old Man Vol telling Frieren at the hill under the starry sky, I'm so grateful that we get to spend this time together. Mirroring just what Frieren told Old Man Vol momentarily before that scene of I'm grateful that I got to see you and I got to know him of the party, or him of the hero and the party better. You see, healing and kindness, they reciprocate and it ripples through. Amazing. Now it's the second part of the episode. Oh, okay. So my prediction is on point so far. The first part of the episode is Frieren revisiting her long-live, because he's still alive, friend of Old Man Vol. Now the second part of this episode is Zine trying to look for his long-live and past friend, the kind gorilla friends. So we'll see if the second part is as happy and wholesome as the first part. But something tells me that it's not going to be the case. Or we're going to see some emotional struggle, since usually every episode comprises of wholesome parts, but also sad or heartbreaking scenes. And I think, and my prediction is that's going to be some sort of a heartbreaking, sorrowful scene that's to be foreshadowed between Zine and his effort to relocate his long-lived, but also long-lost friends.
俺の旅の目的覚えているだろ？
年上の色っぽいお姉さんと旅することだ。
確かにそっちも大事だが。
That's a secondary reason. Oh, photos are
村
rare.
に来た魔法使いに撮ってもらったんだ。
Oh, photos are rare.
10年前だろ。よく目撃情報が残っているな。
名前が特徴的だからな。インパクトが強い。
Oh, what's the name?
なんて名前
Final reveal.
戦士ゴリラ。
Oh, endearing nicknames.
本名は
本名？
本当に親友だったのかよ。
He doesn't know?
昔から村のみんなも戦士ゴリラって呼んで
Bro,
た
he
しな。
doesn't know his real
という
name?
かあいつがそう呼ばせていた。ちなみに俺は僧侶あごひげ。
Goatee priest?
どちらにせよ戦士ゴリラって名前だけ分かれば十分だ。あいつはどうせ必ずそう名乗る。
Quick question before the next scene. I think I mentioned this in passing in the previous episodes. Can anyone share the significant meaning behind 10 years in this show? There's numerous 10 years that's significant. To name a few, the journey to the end is 10 years, so which was a 10-year journey to defeat the Demon King. The gorilla friend has been missing for 10 years, or at least that's the last time Zine saw the gorilla friend. So that's 10 years. So there's a lot of 10 years. And also in the beginning, the first half of the show, or earlier show, Frieren has mentioned numerous comments about it's merely 10 years, which I suggested jokingly that we can make a drinking game out of any time Frieren says merely. So if anyone remembers that, thank you and shout out to you, because you're an OG viewer since day one, since my anime pivot. So I would love for someone to point out the meaning, if any, and the significance behind 10 years in this show specifically.
その前に集落に寄っていいか。なあ、10年前にゴリラって名乗る人来なかった？
すげえ質問だな。
That is a wild
戦士
question.
ゴリラ様ですね。
あ、わかるんだ。
What?
インパクトがすごかったので覚えています。村の近くに出た魔物を退治してくださいました。
Wow.
その後どこに向かったかわかるか？
どうでしたかな。ゴリラ様は高台に住んでいる頑固ばあさんと仲が良かったようなので聞いてみるといいでしょう。
頑固ばあさん。
So many nicknames, huh? Real quick, what the villagers said who recognized Mr. Gorilla Warrior just made a callback reference that, oh yeah, I remember him because he left quite a strong impression, which is exactly what Zine described momentarily ago, that I'm sure people remember him because he leaves a strong impression. Immediate callback. And also, what's up with all these nicknames? In either in this show or this village. Stubborn old woman. Quite a nickname.
わしは頑固者での
What?
そう簡単に教えられん。
自分で頑固って言ってる。
どうすればいい？
わしの依頼をいくつかこなして
Oh,
もら
she
う
already knows.
手紙を届けてもらおうかの
Free labor. Oh, sick transition. Wow, true hero. Himo is him.
面倒な探し物や厄介な物退治に発展していくんだよね。とにかく頑張っておばあさんの心を開こうか。
Is that foreshadowing? Are they gonna encounter a monster? So many errands, dude. This stubborn old woman is no joke, huh? Wow. Maximizing free labor.
このばあさん全然心開かねえぞ。
さすが頑固ばあさんだけどな。
ごめんね。
True to her nickname.
ヒンメルやハイターだったら半日くらいで打ち解けているはずなのに。このパーティー不器用な人しかいませんからね。
True. Very accurate, actually.
最後
Social awkward party.
峡谷にある英雄の像を磨くんだ
Oh, Gorilla the Warrior.
ついてきな案内
Gorilla the Warrior, I'm calling it. It's probably his
英
statue.
雄の像って
はるか昔に世界を救ったとされる
Oh, no, it's
英雄
him,
様
it's
の
Hero's
石像
party.
だ名前もわからん忘れられた英雄さ代々村で管理している
Oh,
忘れられ
generations.
た英雄か。
So Old Man Vol?
ところであんた
Or even hero before?
僧侶あごひげだろ
What?
なんで知ってるんだ？
She knows.
ついたよ
僧侶と戦士。だいぶ古い。
Dude, is that Kraft the Monk? Is that elf statue of Kraft the Monk? Yo! Or is it someone else? Dude, if that's Kraft the Monk, I'll be dead. Remember callback to the conversation when Kraft the Monk asked Frieren, who are you? And Fern is like, oh, she's the mage that saved the world. He's like, no. Who are you before that? Yo. And another thing, I might be overthinking, but I noticed I feel bad calling her the stubborn old woman. That sounds very ageist, but I guess that's her nickname and she self-identifies as such. So here we are, but I do feel bad saying that. I saw for a quick glimpse with the camera zooming in of this stubborn old woman kind of looked somber for a quick brief moment when she was like, you must be the goatee priest. So how does she know that? Obviously the gorilla warrior told her about goatee priest, which is the best friend to gorilla warrior. So that's pretty obvious through deduction, but I want to focus on the facial expression. The reason being so is this show masterfully utilizes subtlety to really portray character building, emotional expressions, and the world building. So every facial expression in this show serves a significant purpose. So I think that somberness, we saw it with a quick glimpse on stubborn old woman's face, I think foreshadows probably the death of the friends, gorilla friends, or something tragic has happened. So that's my guess in alignment with my prediction in the very beginning of this episode. So we'll see if there was a purpose of that facial expression that glimpsed by with old stubborn woman. We shall see.
なんだかザイン様とゴリラ様に似ていますね。というか戦士の方。
Craft the
見
monk?
覚えがあるね。あ、クラフトだ。
Called it!
本当だ。
ウリ二つです。
So Craft was a warrior? I guess monk is like a warrior class, as some viewers suggested.
なるほど。この人はクラフトって名前なんだな。
He's seen him?
この像は
俺たちにそっくりだろ。
Oh, they've seen it elsewhere.
村長による前すら覚えちゃうね。
Dude, how ancient are they?
俺たちはこうはならねえ。忘れ去られるだなんてごめんだ。
Very
勇者
ambitious.
ヒンメルみたいな忘れられない英雄になる。
But Himo will be forgotten
どんな英
1,000
雄
years
で
down
も
the line.
いつかは忘れ去られます。
Yep. Legacy fades and replaced by new legacies and new legends. And that's normal.
俺も鍛えれば
Cyclical
これ
nature
く
of
らい
life.
行くかな。戦士ゴリラ。
Oh, that's the origin story of that nickname. That makes sense.
あごひ
Heitzer the bishop gave him that name. Quick pause. I think that flashback of Zion, the priest, thinking back to Heitzer, the bishop, with his kind gorilla friends, looking at the same statue, comprising of two ancient heroes that's been long forgotten, and now we know that one of them was indeed Kraft the monk, as I guessed. I think that scene is probably the ethos and the core message of this entire episode. I think it begs us, all of us, to pause and think about the profound meditation on purpose, memory erosion, and the quiet tragedy of legacy slipping away. And it's not a bad thing. Like I said, it's a natural cyclical nature of life. Heroes of the past gets eroded and forgotten just to inspire new heroes to emerge and to take their place. And that's the exact storyline and the parallelism between the hero's party with Hamo the hero and the current emerging adventure and hero's party of Frieren, Stark, Fern, and now Zion. So again, I think it's a meditation on purpose, memory erosion, and the quiet tragedy of the forgotten legacies. And again, I think it's a very, very natural part of life, which is why I want to ask all of us, as I shared this before, don't get too caught up in the past. This is why we don't need to get stuck in the past. Momentarily, it's okay, but remember, by moving forward, by living forward, we get to continuously create new memories, new legacies, and we get to constantly reinvent our new selves. And that's hope, and that's the beauty of life.
やっと終わった。大変だったぜ。
銅像だったら魔法でなんとかなったの。
Oh, it's only for bronze
ゴリラ
statue.
にも同じことを頼んだが、あいつはここまでうまくはできなかった。
あいつは戦いしか取り柄がない。
でも名前のインパクトは
It
バッチリ
worked.
だったよ。
He achieved his impact.
ゴリラはあんたのことよく話してたよ。
Oh, they were childhood best friends.
一緒にずっと歴史に名を残すような英雄になるってね。
So I guess they haven't found the friends. But Zion looks like he's in deep contemplation. He's thinking about something
ゴ
right
リ
now.
ラの行き先分かった？
Oh.
おいさ。
Oh.
どうしたもんかね。
He has to decide. Dude. So, okay, I'm glad my prediction was wrong in terms of the gorilla friends being dead. That would have been really, really sad.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on!
So I'm guessing it's a happy-ish ending, but a part of my prediction was correct in terms of the callback with this beginning scene of Zion at the campfire, remembering and memorializing the gorilla friend, looking at the photo and the locket, to now the way we end the episode with the final scene. We're literally seeing Zion at a crossroad on this path. I think even the scenic setup, the scene setup of Zion walking towards Frieren and them slowly in this somber mood is a symbolic setup as well, because he's been on this path, on the same journey to go to the end. But of course, as we all know, the Zion's primary purpose was to reunite and find gorilla warrior friends. And the secondary is he's a MILF hunter, right? But he just found out from the stubborn old woman that he went to a different town, which is the opposite direction. And we end the episode with this dilemma. Will he chase after nostalgia? Will he chase after someone of the past, or choose to honor his decision and to honor the present with Frieren, Stark, and Fern? Because I'm sure they've been traveling together for a while. And it's a very, very impactful, pun intended with impact, with the name making, right? It's a very impactful scene with this very impactful dilemma and decision making, or paralysis by analysis. He's paralyzed because he's not sure what to do. What am I going to do? Is the last thing he said before the scene ended. Will he choose the present memory and the present people that's meaningful to him, Zain, or will he choose nostalgia, a meaningful person from his past, the gorilla friend? So I'm very curious to see in episode 17 next weekend what decision he makes. But what would you guys do? Would you guys choose to honor the memory of the past, or would you guys rather honor the memory of the present? I'd love to hear your thoughts. But this is a very, very good, I guess it's a more slow, deliberate mini arc, as some viewers suggested, but it's so impactful. Like seriously, it's slow, seemingly slow, but deliberate. But like I said, it's a quiet gut punch, as I predicted in the introduction. Anyway, if you found my analysis helpful, as always, please, I ask of you to press the subscribe button. Check, are you subscribed? Because I just finished Violet Evergarden series, and I'll be starting Death Note, and I'll be doing Vinland Saga after I finish Frieren, which is still a couple months away. And share this episode with one friend. Share the love, but also help me appease the gods of algorithm. And as always, till next time, peace.